Welcome back to another episode of Business, Banking and Beyond. Today we are having an exciting guest whose career has spanned across journalism, film critics, content creation across some of the biggest platforms in India and the UAE. Joining us is Ronak Kotecha, a Dubai-based journalist, film critic, presenter and a RJ. With over 18 years of experience, Ronak has worked with leading television and radio channels like Times Now, NewsX, Bloomberg, UTV and Zoom TV, and together with it, Talk 100.3 Dubai, where he's a familiar voice and face. He's also a popular content creator on YouTube, where he has interviewed major celebrities, big celebrities of Bollywood like Amitabh Bachchan, Kangana Ranaut and Manoj Bajpayee. In today's episode, we'll explore Ronak's fascinating journey in journalism and media, how he started from a call center, then moved to Times of India to cover the immense pressuring world of reporting, and where he covered world's biggest stories like the Mumbai terrorist attack of 26/11. He will share what it is like to be in the heat of moment, delivering critical news while putting public duty above personal safety. This episode is full of entertainment, drama and thrill. So sit back, relax while we discuss all the stories with one and only Ronak Kotecha. So let's get started with Ronak. Ronak, first of all, thank you so much for taking out time and coming here.
Thank you so much. I was really looking forward to this.
Well, everybody wants to know your journey, and we are really excited today that how did you reach here? What was all which you have faced during your journey and what were your learnings? We'll start from India, which is our origins. So how did you start in India?
So, I want to tell you things that I've never spoken about before. So, firstly, like it happens with most young people, at least back in the day, that they don't have proper vocational guidance. So, मैंने भी अपने भाई की तरह कॉमर्स किया, M.Com किया, कॉल सेंटर्स में काम किया. But all this while I knew that my calling is in journalism and media. So, I wanted to do that, and one day when I was near my house, there was this political rally. So, and I was doing my masters, in commerce. और मैं उस political rally में गया और मैंने देखा कि बहुत सारे लोग हैं वहाँ पर, politicians हैं और general public हैं, सब मतलब बहुत commotion हो रहा है. And there was this one girl over there, one lady with a mic in her hand. It was a local Marathi channel, not some big news channel also. But everybody seemed to be wanting to talk to her. She was very normal, plain Jane looking. उन्होंने कैसा ज़्यादा कोई ऐसे flashy कपड़े भी नहीं पहने थे. Basically, very simple person, but something in that mic had the power, and that had kind of transformed her into someone special. And I thought that she had the power to ask the right questions. The politicians wanted to talk to her. Those people who were there, they wanted to say something to her that, हमारी क्या problems है. Those people who were along with the politicians wanted her on the stage and to interview the politician like that. So everybody was after that person, but I knew that they're not after the person. वो mic का power है. उस mic ने उसको power दिया है. So I thought I want to have this mic in my hand, and I really want to do this, in life, because I knew what I wanted to do somewhere, but that kind of gave me clarity that day. I still remember that day. And then I said, okay, for that I need to do journalism. And before I could finish my course of journalism, I got a job with Times Now, because I was working in call centers, and that's also a very funny story, because while I was working, I was applying everywhere. I applied in Times of India and Indian Express and everywhere, because those times print was pretty big. But कहीं से कुछ आ नहीं रहा था. Finally एक दिन एक call आया. I was working in a call center, तो Times of India से call आया. तो अब मैं खुश हो गया कि अरे Times of India wants to hire me. तो उन्होंने बोला कि हम आपको इंटरव्यू के लिए बुलाना चाहते हैं. It is for a news channel that we are launching. It's not for Times of India. तो मेरा वापस थोड़ा मन खराब हो गया. उन्होंने यार I want to work with Times of India. कौन सी न्यूज़ चैनल है पता नहीं. बोले Times Now करके है, and we're looking for people to join our web team. So I almost said no to it. Then my friends at the call center like, तू यहाँ पे पूरा ये सब करते रहता है, creativity and all that. We see you like you are not meant for this place. At least go get an entry. Maybe you will reach somewhere. I'm like, यार बात तो सही है, एक बार इंटरव्यू तो देना बनता है. So when I walked into the Times Now office, in Lower Parel. It was still being made. Like I still remember the carpenters were working and that fresh paint ka smell chal raha tha, and there was nobody in the office. And there was this executive producer called Sonali Satpathy. She interviewed me. I think she's now somewhere in abroad doing some big thing. And interview went off okay. And then she said, okay, we'll give you a call. So then a couple of days later, I said, I got a call and they said that you have to meet the editor-in-chief, Arnab Goswami. So they called me on a particular day and I went there. And I was sitting at the reception of Times Now. तब तक ऑफिस थोड़ी और ज़्यादा बन चुकी थी. टीवी भी लग गया था, रिसेप्शन एकदम sparkling new था and all that. And there was a Times of India copy at the reception. तो मैं जहाँ waiting area में बैठा था, वहाँ पे I started reading it. And thank God I read it, because the minute I went and met Arnab, the first thing he asked me was, do you read newspapers? I said, yeah. He said, cover to cover. I said, yeah, kind of. Okay, tell me the headlines of today's Times of India. And thank God I read it. So I told him whether this is what. And then he kind of asked me a few questions and all that. And I don't think he was very particularly too impressed. But in the end, he said, okay, if Sonali has said, maybe we'll get a call.
Well, this is really interesting. Sorry to cut you in between. Arnab is normally known for interviewing people on TV.
Yeah.
But I didn't knew that he has interviewed you as well. Was that difference? Was there any difference? Would you like to share some points on that as well? How was his job interview as an editor?
Like that, okay. Nobody's ever asked me this. But yeah, like I don't remember too many things, but I remember the key things that happened, which I thought were important for me to get the job. But see, you have to understand, this was 2005. Arnab was not the Arnab Goswami that we know today. He was working with NDTV before. People knew him, but not as much as people know him and the way people know him today. So I didn't know about him. मैंने तो कभी really उनसे मैं मिला नहीं था, सुना नहीं था ज़्यादा उनके बारे में. So when I met him, I didn't have that persona. मुझे वो fear नहीं था कि वो क्या पूछेंगे. I mean, obviously वो जो butterflies होती है job वाली, वो थी job interview वाली. So he was normal, but he was very straight, direct, and in the eyes. Like he would ask me things like I was 22, like, you know, and he was there, like I knew he is the editor-in-chief of a channel, तो मुझे वो थोड़ा डर तो था ही, of course. But he was very direct in his questions. He was never beating around the bush or anything like that. No bullshitting, basically. So I couldn't really go and I didn't have much to say. Come on, I was working in a call center. How much could I really say about what I was doing? And the fact that they were handpicking for these small roles also means that they were very, very particular about who they wanted on the team. So I don't remember beyond a few things what he asked me. I think he just wanted to see my aptitude and my attitude for the job. So I think he asked me why I want to do this. So I said that I always wanted to write and I was very passionate about this, and you know, like I want to do the reporting and all that. And he just in the end, like he said that if Sonali has liked you, maybe there is something in you. So we'll get a call. And then I really left that meeting thinking that I won't get a call, because the way he ended it was like not very promising. But after a few days, the call did come and they did hire me, and they matched my they gave me less salary than I was getting in times in the call center, in the BPO. But I still took the job because all my friends said that this is the right exit that you're getting. You should take this up. And I went on to work for a year and a half over there. And the minute I walked in, there was no learning. There was no like training. They immediately put me on ticker. And that was not even the part of the deal. They said, you are going to update the website, timesnow.tv. You have to write for the website. You have to make sure that it's updated. So when they put me on the ticker, I didn't know, like, you know, and that was such a high pressure job, because all the reporters, Arnab himself used to always stand over there. And it was like, this was the newsroom. If you've seen, like, I don't know now, Times Now is different, but there was this big newsroom with tickers running all around. And you know how news channels are, there's lights,
circular tickers.
Circular tickers all around.
Just like stock market.
Exactly. And there's news running, and there are like some 50 television sets running all different kind of channels, and it's very well lit and all that. And this ticker desk was right in the beginning of that whole news desk, pura. And this person who sat there had to be the most high pressure job wala person, and that was me. Because anybody would come on, fire in the building in Lower Parel, 50 died, and you have to quickly put like, you know, breaking without any spelling mistakes. There were no spell checks and all that, and it was very basic software, and you had to type, and there was a word limitation. You can't put more than a few. Abhi bhi hai wo to. You can only put like say so many characters like Twitter, and otherwise it won't take. And at the minute you press go, it immediately goes on air. So if I write something and it goes as breaking news, people see it. Now the only thing that was giving me some comfort was the fact that it was a channel which was not launched, and even a few months after it was launched, nobody was really watching it because it was new. Obviously, we didn't have so much viewership in those days. So initially, तो of course, but पूरे office की नज़र उस पे रहती थी, because the reporter would come and give me the news. Editor would come and Ornav would come and give me the news a lot of times. I didn't know what's happening outside. My job was to just put it. So that was the desk where everybody used to come. The reporters would come, Ornav would come, and everybody would. And the thing with it is, because I'm a new guy and I'm just like sitting there, and everybody knows that he doesn't have too much experience or really power basically. Koi bhi kuch bhi. And then there were a lot of times when it was told that, you know, you only have to take orders from one or two, like the editor-in-chief or the executive editor. Like everybody can't come and give you news, and you can't just put out everything. So one incident I remember very clearly. मुझे तो कुछ भी नहीं पता था यार. I was so raw. मुझे UPA नहीं पता था. United Progressive Alliance, the alliance that the part Congress. Yeah. So I didn't know what UPA is. Yeah, मतलब मैं 22 साल का हूँ, मुझे क्या पता है इतना. And Ornav is saying, so Sonia Gandhi is doing this press conference after winning the elections, and Ornav is standing behind, like I'm sitting here typing, and he's like, UPA says we will do everything in our mandate. मैंने लिख दिया UPS. Well, I didn't know, and I fired it, and it went on. Ornav फट से भी दे, UPS is a bloody computer system. What is wrong with you? Oh, it's UPA. Okay. निकाला वापस, type किया UPA. So many things I didn't know. Like I actually didn't understand the gravity of news until it actually broke, and how it kind of disintegrated into the system of our news channel. Because in a news channel there is that the people covering finance are different. For them, financial news is the most important. People covering crime are different. For them, crime news is the politics वालों के लिए politics से शिवसेना ने कुछ बोल दिया तो बड़ी बात हो गई. Entertainment वालों के लिए Bollywood से कुछ आया तो बड़ी बात हो गई. तो सबके लिए बड़ी बात थी, but मेरे लिए I was still learning it, So a lot of times it was a lot of high pressure. I'll tell you one incident. A funny incident. One time what happened was that Telgi, Telgi, right?
Yes.
The Sam Pepper scam kingpin.
Yes.
So he was in the jail at that time, and he suddenly took ill. So Ornav came running out of the studio. He's like, come on. We've got first visuals of Telgi being taken to the hospital. Write down, come on, Ronak. Telgi, Stamp Paper Kingpin, Abdul Karim Telgi being taken to hospital. He's taken ill at the central jail, blah, blah, blah. All of that. Like he's just rattling off, and I'm supposed to like write it down, articulate it nicely for the ticker, and quick. So you can imagine how. And he's standing, and then the reporter has got some visuals of Telgi being taken off, and then exclusive. And in those days, abhi bhi hai India mein to, you have to, if you're not the first one, you are not the one. And Times Now was very very much in that race, So we had to like put everything the first. So वो visual दिए होंगे उसने ingest कराने के लिए वहाँ से, and then it's supposed to run, but somebody fired the wrong visual out. मैं नीचे से लिख रहा हूँ Abdul Karim Telgi being taken to hospital in a critical condition, और वहाँ से तेलगी आराम से चल के जा रहा है, हंस रहा है. The constables are walking around him, and he's in his usual swagger, because that's how he used to walk. And again Ornav came running out. Who's put these visuals? Who's put this? I said, ticker तो आपने बोला डालने के लिए. So like I put out the breaking news, but the visual that went on air was wrong. And नीचे लिखा हुआ वो गलत, तो हालांकि था तेलगी के बारे में ही, but ऐसे होता है कई बार. It's live news, right? There are so many things that can go wrong will go wrong. So it was madness. But yeah, I mean, with all of that, I learned as my first job, as somebody who had no clue and no media background like that, except for the little course that I had done. This is the place where I learned a lot of things, and all credit to a lot. And we had some amazing people in the team. I didn't know how to pronounce so many words. Like, there was a word called defiant that used to get used very much. Now, I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know how to pronounce it. So I actually asked one of the editors, I'm like, ye kya word hai? Defiant kya hai? It's like, it's defiant and it means this. And then, how to write stories. So while I was doing the ticker and updating the website, and I had kind of settled into it, and I was kind of good. And I'm not really boasting, but a lot of these editors and anchors, and they wanted me on the ticker because they're like, he's from all the people, at least he understands news and he articulates well. Like, he is able to put out the news correctly more times than anyone else. So at least they would love me to be on the ticker. So they would put me there. But I went and told my boss was not directly, Arnab was not my boss. My boss, there was somebody in between, and then Arnab was everybody's boss. So my boss was the person who's handling the web team. So I went and told her, I said, see, I want to do reporting. This is not what I want to do. Fine, I'm doing a good job here, but yeah. So one day, I was sitting and doing my website updating. A few days I was on ticker, few days I was on the website. And I heard the bureau chief and one of the reporters talking. That reporter was telling him कि सर आपको बोला था और भी चाहिए ये बीट कवर करने के लिए, हमें we need more hands on the deck, इतना कुछ होता है, मैं अकेली हर जगह नहीं पहुंच पाती हूँ, मुझे और लोग चाहिए. तो मैंने सुन लिया वो. I'm very like that. I eavesdrop here and there and I go and talk. So I went to Sanjay sir. Sanjay Singh is actually who broke the Telgi scam, and he's, if you know, there's a scam story that has come on Netflix or
yeah, I have heard of Abdul Karim Telgi ki.
Sony Live pe aayi. So that he's written a book and it's made out of that, and he's broken many big stories. So I went up to him and I said, sir, मैंने सुना, तुम मुझे chance दो ना. So he's like, okay, go, okay, fine, करते. Then he said, बात करो Arnab से, मैं भी करता हूँ. I went and told Arnab. He said, yeah, go take a camera and go. What is there to ask? Go and start reporting. I'm like, it was so simple. I should have just asked earlier. And then I said, yeah, but what do you want me to do? Bollywood? He's like, why Bollywood? Go do proper news reporting. Go cover city. Go cover crime. And I'm like, okay, abhi aur kya bolunga? Okay. So then I started showing my interest. So the deal was, I would do my 12-hour or whatever, not 12-hour, but whatever 8-9 hour shift, like from morning to सब 5 बजे पहली शिफ्ट शुरू होती थी हमारी टिकर की, वेब टीम की. मॉर्निंग, हाँ, 6 से लाइक 6 से 2, फिर 2 से 10, और फिर रात नाइट शिफ्ट भी होती थी 10 से सुबह 6 तक वापस, बिकॉज 24 hours news channel ना, we need people all the time. So the deal was I would do that and then I would go for reporting. And then I remember the first time that I was asked to go and take a sound bite. So Amitabh Bachchan had just been expelled from Rajya Sabha for something. This was 2006. It was big news. And whenever a big news happens in a news channel, the drill is that you start taking reactions from how do you take the story forward. Like, for example, if Ratan Tata died, that's the big story that is broken right now. So how do you, take that story forward? You talk about him like Sridevi died over here. So you take that forward, you do your investigation, but you take other people who have worked with her, anyone related to that person, and you keep asking them, keep taking them on air, on phonos, on lives, on any way possible, get a quote from them, run that. That's how you take forward. So 2006, that time there wasn't Twitter. Twitter was there, but it wasn't, I guess, as big as it was today. It is today. So मुझे बोला गया, Arnab had lined up Anupam Kher to get a reaction from him. Anupam Kher had agreed to talk about this. It's a big thing, right? Jaya Bachchan being accepted, controversial story. Anupam Kher, a big celebrity, talking about it, news. So he gave me Anupam Kher's number. I called him. I said, sir, I'm calling from Times Now, or Arnab has spoken to you. I have to come and take your reaction on this story. He said, yeah, come to National Park. I'm shooting over there. I'm in Lower Parel. In Dubai terms, I'll tell you, I'm in Barjuman. He's calling me to JLT. Literally, like even further than that actually. And he's like, come here and take the soundbite. So I got the so you have to actually get the camera person assigned to you from another team. The camera person will pack his thing, पूरा बैग भरेगा. फिर गाड़ी के लिए किसी एक और बंदे को बोलो जो गाड़ी हैंडल करता है कि गाड़ी रेडी करो. गाड़ी आएगी, कैमरा आएगा, सब जाएंगे. फिर पूरा हम गए वहाँ से लोअर परेल से मुंबई के ट्रैफिक में ऑल द वे टू नेशनल पार्क. द मिनट आई रीच देयर, इज लाइक मैं तो निकल गया यहाँ से, अभी छोड़ो, मुझे नहीं देनी. मैंने बोला सर ये मेरी पहली साउंड बाइट है. मेरे बॉस ने बोला मुझे चाहिए कैसे भी करके. ही सेड ओके, एक काम करो, मैं अंधेरी में हूँ, वहाँ पे आ जाओ. सो अनुपम खेर इज अ फिल्म स्कूल इन अंधेरी. ही सेड एक्टिंग स्कूल. ही सेड कम देयर. फाइनली 8 साढ़े 8 बजे, मैं 8 नहीं कुछ 7 बजे के आसपास मैं वहाँ पहुँचता हूँ थक हार के. पहले उसकी गाड़ी जाती है अंदर, फिर मेरी, like मेरी ऑफिस की कार. एंड आई गो इनसाइड एंड इट वाज अ बिग कार, इट वाज अ बिग फैंसी कार. सो आई न्यू दैट इट्स हिम ओनली. I get out of the car and I see him and he's like, the only reason I'm giving you this soundbite is not because your boss told you, but because it's your first soundbite. Now do it quickly. Set up the camera and asked him and he gave the soundbite. And और उस टाइम में DV टेप्स चलती थी. It was not like कि अपलोड कर दिया ऐसे ही कहीं से फ़ोन से लेके. वो DV टेप मैंने लिया. मैंने ड्राइवर को, कैमरामैन को बोला आप गाड़ी लेके ऑफिस पहुँचो, मैं ट्रेन से जाता हूँ, मुझे आप स्टेशन छोड़ दो, बिकॉज ट्रेन भी फास्टर. तो मैंने अंधेरी से लोअर परेल की ट्रेन पकड़ ली. ट्रेन से उतर के भाग के स्टेशन से लेके मैं गया. एंड दिस बाइट हैड टू रन ऑन न्यूज़ आवर. न्यूज़ आवर स्टार्ट्स एट 9. आई रीच देयर इनसाइड एंड जैसे मैं स्टेशन के अंदर पहुंचा, अपने टीवी स्टेशन के अंदर, आई कुड सी द फर्स्ट टिंग ऑफ न्यूज़ आवर. दैट म्यूजिक टंग डंग 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 चालू हो गया सब कुछ. हम लाइक ओह नो आई मिस्ड इट, यू नो. लाइक पहली बाइट बोली थी और शो चालू हो गया. अब वो लोग इंजेस्ट नहीं करेंगे बिकॉज द शो हैज स्टार्टेड ऑलरेडी. बिकॉज देयर इज एन इंजेस्टिंग प्रोसीजर. You take the DV tape, you go to the ingest room, you get it ingested, marked and everything, you get it edited. Then अगर edit की ज़रूरत है तो they check it, like you know कि audio सही है कि नहीं. Then they give it to PCR and then they put it in the news wheel and then it plays. And the anchor has to given a cue because the anchor is reading, right? उसको कैसे पता कि अनुपम खेर की बाइट आ रही है. So the anchor will say that we spoke to Anupam Kher and he spoke about this story or this is what he said, and then the thing plays. It's a proper procedure, right? वो सब तो भी टाइम है नहीं. मैं आ गया अंदर and I was like almost about to go into tears, like you know. And then I waited for news hour to get come over so that Arnab could come out. And he came out and he said, "It's okay, you know, fine. We'll see it later." And then I left. And the next morning again 6 o'clock I had to come, right? 6 बजे में आया. गेस व्हाट, अनुपम खेर की बाइट चल रही है. हाँ, सुबह के बुलेटिन में डाल दिया उन लोगों ने. न्यूज़ आवर तो खत्म हो गया 9 से 10. फिर उसके बाद तो बुलेटिन होते हैं ना, नाइट बुलेटिन. सो नाइट बुलेटिन इज बेसिकली एक बार शूट होता है 10 बजे या 11 बजे लास्ट होता है. देन एवरीवन गोज होम एक्सेप्ट फॉर द स्मॉल टीम दैट स्टेज बैक. And then the same bulletin keeps repeating.
Okay.
Through the night. Then 6 o'clock again morning, there's a fresh bulletin.
So hard work paid off.
Yeah, in the morning. But then I joined NewsX by then.
So from Times, now you are moving on to...
Then I had moved to NewsX, yeah, because I wanted to be a full-time reporter. Like here I was doing reporting, but it was draining me out, yeah, because I was doing and plus there was more money and again, do you know who interviewed me? Indrani Mukherjee.
Oh, for NewsX.
She was the boss. She owned it, right? So she was the one who was meeting, and we were like one of those core team members because we were the first reporters who had joined. She hired me, and then she launched NewsX, 9X. They launched 9XM as well, which are still running big channels back in India. 9X closed down, but NewsX and 9XM are still there. But yeah, then we were sent to Delhi for like a month or 2 for reporting for a training, and then we called back to Bombay, and then I started reporting. I covered the 26/11 for that, the Mumbai terror attacks.
How was that experience?
Oh, it was my God, it was so many emotions. I can't tell you in one word, but it was nothing that I've ever seen in my life before. But I was never scared because in those days I had this sense of immortality. I was sure that even if I managed to get inside Taj, which was a very cool close to Taj Hotel where the attacks were happening, the main attacks were happening. Even if I go inside by some stroke of luck, I will not die tonight. I kind of knew that aaj to main nahi marunga. So
is it something in you or is it with every journalist?
it's bit of both, but I think it's there in every journalist for sure. Like every person who's getting into this,
News becomes more important than you.
than everything else, yeah, in that time. So, and again, see, NewsX was a very new channel and we were all rookie reporters. We didn't have much experience like that. I had done a few stories in Times Now, but it wasn't like I was a very prolific reporter and I was like very accomplished. I was still learning on the job. And again, now the whole thing that had happened with Times Now, which is before the launch we had joined. Again, I had joined before the launch. So I was going through the same problem again because again, it was a new channel. Nobody knew about it. Again, we had to push it. Again, we had to wait for people to really know that this channel is there. So, but 2011 happened. So a lot of people started watching us because we were the only channel which was very clean, because that time our brief was कि हमें BBC of India बनना है. We want to be the BBC of India. So very minimalistic ticker, इतना सा, not like too many things happening. तो थोड़ा सा वो differentiating factor था. But of course सबकी viewership बहुत high थी उस time पे. And I remember I was one of the first reporters to reach. So I had gone to watch Dostana in Regal. Regal is a theatre which is right next to Taj Hotel and a few blocks away from Leopold Cafe where the first attack happened. So the movie was at 10 o'clock and I distinctly remember that day was a very lean day. कुछ हुआ ही नहीं था उस दिन. And in news business, we often like say that, you know, no news is bad news is good news. So it's like कुछ हुआ नहीं था, but I'm sorry, it's not like that. It's like people say that, but it's not like you want bad news to happen. But उस दिन was very lean day and everybody had just left early and somebody was, किसी का birthday था तो कोई party कर रहा था office की team में से. And I had gone home. I used to stay very close to South Bombay where all the attacks happened, and the office also in South Bombay. So I went home and my friend called me. He said, we have one ticket of Dostana, this film, 2008 में आई थी ना ये film भी. So, and I had not watched it. He said, you want to come with us? My whole family is going and there's only one ticket. So I went home quickly and I told my mom, I said, whatever food is there, give it to me. I have to go for this movie. So 10 o'clock, I had my food and I went. And as soon as I went to the movie, I started getting these messages from a friend who said कि कुछ हुआ है, तू देख उधर कुछ हुआ है, तू किधर है? मैंने रीगल में हूँ. He's like, तू देख वहाँ पे कुछ हुआ है. तो I came out of the movie and I saw there was this. So the theater is like this. There's a gate which closes, but you can see outside. वो जो gate है वो जाली है ऐसे. तो you can see पूरा traffic jam है. अभी मतलब 10-10 बजे इतना jam क्यों है यहाँ पे? Something has really happened. So I told the guard, I said, मुझे बाहर जाना है. He said, बाहर गया तो वापस नहीं आने मिलेगा. I'm like, ठीक है, it's okay, I don't want to watch the movie. Until date, I haven't watched that movie, yeah? Because वो उस दिन मैंने उसका एक गाना देखा and I left because this happened. So I came out and suddenly I saw there was another reporter of IBN7. He was talking something, he was talking about some crime being happening in this area. And suddenly a police van came and it zoomed past and I saw there were some foreigners inside that were dripping blood. And I saw that and I was like, now something has happened. So then I started calling my office because our head office was in Delhi. So the anchoring, the news bulletins used to happen from there. We were a bureau over here. So I started walking towards Leopold. So this is Regal, this is Leopold. So I started walking. While I was walking, I could see suddenly, like, you know, people's chappals are lying. And there's glasses and personal effects and people, and then there's blood over there. And then as I go, and Leopold, and see the whole thing, like, you know, bullet marks and everything is shattered. And it's a crime scene, like a proper, like, you know, like, बहुत सारी shooting हुई है वहाँ पे. And people are running around helter-skelter and all that. But people still didn't know because those guys had already done that and then moved to Taj. So then I started calling my office line. Something big has happened. I think some drug bust. Till then we thought it was a drug bust. Some drug bust has happened. There's been firing over here. And I said, I can see like bullet shells and all that. So please send the camera person. You know, I'm alone over here. So now in those days, because there was no Facebook Live and all that so much. So we would do a phono. Phono means the anchor will call you on the phone and they'll take you on phone. So the anchor from Delhi called And she doesn't know what South Mumbai is. So she's asking me, okay, explain to me the area explain to us, tell us what is this all about. So I started telling her that this is Leopold Cafe and this is frequented by foreigners, and mostly you will see a lot of, foreigner crowd over here, and it's the upscale area of Mumbai. Something has happened over here, but people have sketchy details right now. We're not able to confirm whether it was a terror attack or a drug bust gone wrong or something. And I told her that I saw a police van taking away a few injured foreigners. वो सब हुआ. Finally, वो cameraman आ ही नहीं रहा है. And I'm taking bites from people, like on my phone, understanding कि क्या हुआ था, some eyewitnesses and all. कैमरा पर्सन को गाड़ी का पार्किंग ही नहीं मिला. मतलब भाई तू गाड़ी छोड़, तू चल के आ, मेरे पास बाइक है. Literally, I made him sit on my bike, and the OB van is also on its way. Then I went to VT on my bike. And I said to वो PD light की जो the PD camera, we used to have those PD 170 cameras. उस पे एक light लगती थी, mount light for the face lit up. So I said वो light चालू रखना, वरना पुलिस को लगा हम लोग ही terrorist है, हमको ही उड़ा देंगे. Because the city was really locking down. Because in that whole area from where I am, Leopold to Metro till VT station, that whole is one stretch, It's like within a few kilometers. And that's why the police is like closing in, because now this has happened. Because one attack is happening at Leopold, then other attack happened at VT, then at Taj, Oberoi, and that Kabad house. It's all in one perimeter, like that. So then I go to VT station, and I still don't, I go to VT station, I didn't go because that's where the attack had happened. They cordoned it off. I went to St. George Hospital, which is next to VT Hotel, VT station. If you see the series that has come, उसमें सब दिखाया है, Amazon Prime पे है, about this 2011 terror attacks. So I went to the hospital, and they were not letting me in. So I wore those, I think I got some gloves from there, and I said I'm medical intern. ऐसे करके I went inside, and they let me in without the camera, and I could see there was a lot of commotion. And there was this green, वो जो green कपड़ा नहीं होता medical का, वहाँ पे ऐसे वो रखा हुआ था in those stands. So I pulled it down, and I seen the dead bodies inside. Like people are just lying dead, like the blood and everything. That just dumped the bodies over there. And there were some 20-30 bodies over there like that. And I'm like, I was just shocked. I'm like, this is the moment. And that's when I realized that this is big. This was like big news. I came out, and I told my camera person, I said something, this is a terror attack. This can't be a drug bust or anything. And by then people already started understanding. So then the OB had to be deployed at Taj, because यहाँ पे तो attack हो गया था. Taj पे भी चल रहा था. So then we went, and the OB van is running out of fuel now, running out of diesel. So now they are like, okay, you need to get the diesel, like otherwise the OB van will not run. So then I go on my bike to a petrol pump. I take the diesel in a gallon, because I took and I was asked, because उनको नहीं पता दिल्ली वालों को कहाँ रखनी OB. So I was telling them everything. I took the diesel on my bike का आगे का जो रखने का होता है ना, and I told my camera person, I said, you sit behind with that light on. We are taking the diesel. They might think, we definitely think that we are terrorists. उनको क्या, उनको लगेगा कि ये कुछ तो कांड करने जा रहे हैं, डीजल लेके जा रहे हैं ऐसे टाइप पे. So I actually took that diesel on my bike with the camera person. I gave it to the OB van so it could run, and then I was stationed at the Taj, because that's where the attacks were happening still. So then I told my camera person, I said, let's try to go around Taj. So तब तक तो अभी तक cordon off हुआ नहीं था. And I went at the backside, and I could hear the gunshots, khart जा रहे हैं ऐसे, gunshots. And I was very close to the back gate of Taj. And we were like kind of understanding what happened. So this constable comes and tells me, क्या है, मरना है क्या तुमको? इधर क्यों खड़े हो? पीछे जाओ. And then he sent us all back. There were some other journalists also coming in and all that, and the police was trying to push us away. And then my camera person is telling me, एक काम करो, तुम इधर रुको, मैं चुपके से जाके वहाँ से शॉट लेके आता. बोला नहीं, जो करेंगे साथ में करेंगे, जिएंगे तो साथ में, मरेंगे तो. इतना like ऐसा हो गया था. But even then I didn't feel that we were at some risk. So for me it was like in another zone only. I was tripping on something. I guess I was just tripping on having this opportunity to cover this, So my whole point was to understand what's happening and get more. So every few minutes we would go live, either on phone or on camera. So I had to have more information. So my whole thing was information and visuals. Continuously had to feed the visuals. तो नए visuals चाहिए ना लोगों को देखने के लिए. And my phone is also dying. Then I remember I went to one house. So I went and got my phone charged in this house. There were so many people sleeping over there. I said, please, मुझे थोड़ा phone charge करने दो. And then the whole night I was there. 2 nights I didn't sleep. I was there only. And the next morning, then finally the third day, when the terrorists were, killed by the NSG guards and all that happened. But before that, one bullet came towards us. And one reporter from Associated Press or AFP, I don't remember, she got injured. And she was taken to the hospital. But choke chali gayi thi unko goli. But then that was like, and then the 3 days, then finally when I left that place, the Taj, bahar ka jo area, and then I looked behind and I could like really, rewind the entire sequence of events, how it went. And then we did so many follow-up stories on that, and it was like really, really crazy. Yeah. So
this is the most horrific time the country has seen, and you have witnessed it live. So I'm sure it takes a big heart, and I never knew there is a different side for the journalism where the news information for the people is more important than yourself. And I can't imagine how you were able to do that.
Everybody who's in this business kind of does this.
So after this, how did UAE happen to you?
Okay, so, I was doing I did Times Now, then I was in NewsX, and I was in Zoom TV for 5 years. Like, there was a big time that, I was doing Bollywood content because we were making shows and interviewing stars and all of those things were happening. And then I joined a radio station, but then after working for 12, 13 years, I thought that now it's time to take a break because I didn't have a very big trajectory of career in my head. I didn't know what I wanted to do. Whatever came my way and looked good, I did it, and then I tried to be good at what I was doing. So
it's same for all.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it works the best, no, I guess, because I really believe you should know what you don't want to do rather than what you want to do. So I only knew what I didn't want to do. I never wanted to do a 9 to 6 corporate job. So I chose these kind of jobs, where I would get to meet new people and do some stories, make some content. ये सब जो आज बना रहे हैं हम इंस्टाग्राम पे, हम बहुत सालों से ऐसी ही सब चीज़ें बना रहे हैं, बट टीवी के लिए और रेडियो के लिए. So then I quit all the jobs and then I was just not doing anything. I was just doing some freelance. Then I got a call and Radio 4 was hiring. So they, reached out through a consultant and I interviewed and they liked me and they got me here as a content head. And they expected me to do a lot of Bollywood content, which I did when I came over here. I would interview stars and all of those things on the phone. And that's how my journey started. I started doing news also. Again, news to hota hi hai meri life mein. So I started giving news on air, on radio. And I think that's where my on-air journey began over here. And I started, I would do reviews on and off on different shows. But news was a dedicated thing which I started doing. And I did it for quite a few years, like 2-3 years. I was continuously doing news. Yeah, on radio. And with me, when it comes to news, I'm very passionate, right? So I would curate the right stories. I would make sure that the stories that I take from, because your journalism is very different. So whatever I would take from different sources, I would rewrite in my own lines and my own way and narrate it in the way that I would like to hear. And I think that was little different than how someone else would have done it maybe.
So this was still here. This is your journey of journalism. This is your life as a journalist. When did Critics happen to you? Bollywood Critics, which...
In Zoom. So in Zoom TV, the lady who was my boss, she started, because Zoom is part of Times of India. So she got a mandate to review movies for Times of India. And I started going for movies with her just to discuss, sometimes we would go together to watch movies, like, for press screenings and all that. And then we would discuss. And then she would write the review and I would read it. Sometimes we would do a collaborative thing that just tell me if I've covered everything, I've not missed out on anything like that. So that journey started and I was always interested in doing news. So I started doing it on YouTube because that time I didn't have Times of India as a platform with me, but I started doing my own thing on YouTube. I started doing reviews over there. And that's when I kind of realized that, I think I can do this nicely. And then when I moved to Dubai, Times of India reached out to me and said that since movies come here on Thursdays and movies release here much earlier, Hollywood and Bollywood, so why don't you file reviews from there? So that's when I started. And then I was doing a show on Tata Sky also on a channel, which was called it was a review show, reviews and more. And I would watch a movie on a Thursday morning here and shoot it and then send it to them, and they would play it on the channel. Tata Sky had its own channel, Showbiz karke. So usme wo jata tha. So I would do reviews for Times of India, and I would do I would talk about it on my own channel as well, on radio as well, like that. So and then Rotten Tomatoes,
Yes.
Rotten Tomatoes. So I got accredited over there as a certified film critic, So I'm accredited on Rotten Tomatoes as a film critic. So if I do a review, it goes as it counts as the tomato meter. So if I rate it fresh, it goes as fresh. If I rate it rotten, it goes towards rotten. So it actually, Bollywood doesn't follow Rotten Tomatoes so much, but Hollywood makes a big difference. Your Rotten Tomatoes.
So you review for Hollywood as well?
Yeah, I review Hollywood films, I review Bollywood films, I review series, OTT content as well, both Bollywood and.
Okay, so Ronak, if I were to ask you as a anchor, as a journalist who covered 26/11, Satyam case, Telgi case you have covered. If you were to define journalism, what is journalism as per you?
Journalism, in today's world, I will tell you, it's not about furthering the cause of news. It's really it's the business of news in many ways. But at the same time, journalism is while people don't understand that it really needs a lot of financial support as well. In truer sense of the term, journalism is the conscience of the society. If you are given that mic, and if you are there to report, and if you have the responsibility, it's your job to not give your opinion but tell people what has happened. And that's what I did on my YouTube channel also, because that's what I have learned. It doesn't matter what I think.
Can you go a little more deep when you say conscious of the society or conscious of the people?
So by conscience of society, I mean what you say is going to make a difference. It's going to be of some impact. So when you go to cover a story, it doesn't matter what you feel. First thing is you have to cover the facts. You have to tell the people what you know rather than what you feel. That is the main difference between a journalist and an opinion piece. So I, as a reviewer, I can have my opinion, but as a journalist, I need to tell what happened rather than what I feel. That's not important. But today's journalism is changing. I think today it's more opinion driven, and people don't give news, they give opinions.
So that's where my second question is. One is journalism, where you are mentioning that you have to give the raw, true information to the people out there. Then is your second job, which is a global critic.
Yeah.
You're doing for Hollywood, Bollywood. You have taken learnings from what you did in Zoom TV. What is a job responsibility as a global critic?
So see, as a critic, you can argue that I'm just another average viewer. I watch the movie like anybody else. No, you cannot do that. You have to be very certain that when you write for a paper like Times of India, or your reviews are going on Rotten Tomatoes, or people are watching it on YouTube, you have to consider everything. You can't be so myopic that you can't have one track mind. So my review theory is very simple. I review on 3 parameters. One is that the genre that the movie is, it has to justify that genre. The first and the most important. I'll give you an example. If it's a comedy, it doesn't make you laugh, it's a failure right there. If it's a horror, it doesn't spook you, it's a failure right there. If it's a thriller, it doesn't give you the thrill, it's a failure right there. No matter how great the songs are, how great the acting is, how great the production values are, but a comedy is not making you laugh, then it's over. It's supposed to be a comedy, it has to make you laugh. Second is, you have to connect with the characters in some way. Like, I'm not saying you have to like the characters. You can, like for example, Joker. You can hate that character, but that's an emotion, right? You're connecting in some way. You are hating, you are angry. You are despising him. But you can't be indifferent. You're like, oh, I don't care what happens to him now. Like, I'm not connecting with this person in any way. I'm not feeling any anger. I'm not feeling like there has to be some connection with the character. Third and the most important thing is it has to be entertaining. No matter what you are making, if you are charging people to come to the theater or if you're charging them for a subscription, you better give them entertainment. You can't say, oh, because it's a documentary and because it's a public service message, I'm not going to entertain. I'm just going to keep one shot there for like 10 minutes and expect people to get entertained. No, that doesn't work.
What do you mean by entertainment? Like if I were to say it's a horror movie or it's a public message, as you say, how can you define entertainment?
Entertaining is something that doesn't make you look at your watch or that doesn't make you want to forward that from that button. Like, today. And
so it's not jokes, it's not comedy, it's something.
Entertainment is something that engages you. It engages you. Like when you watch a film, I'll give you a very, very simple example of a film that everybody has watched. I can give you 10,000, but Titanic, for example. Titanic is pretty much a 5 out of 5 because as a film, it's long. See, it stays true on all these 3 points. I said genre. It is a real it's a historic love story. As a love story, it works, and as a disaster film, it works. It works on both counts. You are totally into the love story. You want these two to meet, and you want these two to be together. And when the ship starts falling apart, you want to be engaged in that because you want to know what happened that night. Second is you are connected with the characters. You feel for Rose and you feel for Jack. And the third and the most important thing is that it's one hell of an entertaining ride. It's got great music, it's got great production, it's got great visuals, it's got great moments. It takes you on that ship. It puts you on that ship. That's it.
I mean, you have put it absolutely right. It really takes us on that ship, and we all have watched it multiple times. Every time we watch, there is goosebumps.
That's also one of the things. How many times can you watch a film? Every hit film has this one common thing. You can watch it again and again. Every hit film. A flop film is a flop because people only watch it once.
My God. So I have a different question in that sense only. When you have so much of learning in India, you did so much of things, you had your creative freedom. Sometimes we feel like when we are in UAE, we are creatively bound in the media regulations of UAE. Is it true? And are you able to use your full potential in UAE?
So I have a very simple answer for this. I'm not working for a news channel here. And when I do work for BBC, I do it exactly the way I would do it for any other channel back in India. And I do stories for BBC, you know that. So there are times when I do get people come and say, oh, no, BBC is like this, like that, whatever they want to say. But my job is to do it the way my brief is that, okay, I have to cover a story and I cover it just the way I have. The problem is that people have a lot of perceptions. UAE media regulations are not the way people look at it. It's not restrictive. If you open today's Khalij Times, you will see a story where there's a Tinder date scam happening. There's a story where there is little bit of, if the crime has happened, it has been covered over there. If there's an accident happened, the police themselves put out videos. It is not the way you perceive it to be. It is just people's minds that we can't do this, can't do that. They don't know if it's true. You can put it out. It's just the way you put it out. Every country has its own rules and regulations. India is a democracy. You can't compare it with the UAE or any other country. A democracy works in a different way. The press in a democracy works in a different way. Here, even with whatever regulations and we have, there is fair amount of reporting happening. And I've seen this in the last couple of years. I've seen it become a lot more open, a lot more progressive that way. And there are things, you just need to know how to do it. So it's not for the rookies. And there is a whole section of influencers, Instagram, everyone is happy. Everyone is great. Everyone's life is cool. But sadly, life is not like that. The real life is what a journalist would put out for you. If there's a problem, like for example, there was a big scam that happened recently in the UAE of that blue chip fund.
Blue chip companies.
I covered it and everyone covered it. We spoke about it. if it was restrictive, this story would have never come out. There are times when we cover stories about people scamming each other, being aware, but the crime rate is genuinely low in this country.
That's true, and even the police is doing the job of journalist as well. I've seen a lot of messages coming to us, calls coming to us. Don't give this YouTube. There are so many cyber frauds.
And also, if there is a problem that happens with it, it's your responsibility to go and tell the right people. You can always approach the police. You can always approach the media and say this has happened. Still, if you don't get hurt, that's a different story. But I think at least in the last 2-3 years, I've seen a fair amount of hardcore reporting happening in the country. I've seen it on Khaleej Times. I've seen it happening in other newspapers as well.
Well, thank you so much for breaking this myth. I knew it, but wanted to hear somebody from the industry who's an expert from the industry. Coming back to what we were discussing, as a critic, you're doing so much for different news, for movies. When it comes to you as a person, how do you take personally criticism? And why it is important for me to ask here is that sometimes as our job, it's very easy to criticize. But I really want to know, as a person, how do you take this criticism on you?
So, see, I'll tell you one simple thing. On YouTube, when you put out a story, there are a lot of messages. And I get so many comments below. But I like all the comments, but I reply to the ones mostly which are negative. Because those are the ones that... Negative criticism is the only criticism that will evoke a response. If you tell someone, oh, you're looking great, oh, thank you. What else will they say? But the minute you tell someone, oh, there's something wrong in your face. Oh, what is it? What is it? Tell me. I need to know. I really need to fix this. That is when people generally start correcting themselves. So without negative criticism, you just cannot go forward. Because if everybody is going to say good things, and it really gets on to me, Eric, if a friend also keeps saying good things, I start getting annoyed very soon. Because firstly, I don't have great opinion about myself, A. Secondly, I myself need a lot of validation. And I am like that as a person also. I will do because of the things in life, I'll never feel great about it beyond a point. Thoda bahut mujhe lagega, but then again, I'll start feeling that, oh, there's nothing. There's more that needs to be done, It's a good thing also, but in a way, it's a bad thing also. But
I think bad thing in one way only, that if you're happy, then it's not bad.
Satisfied, yeah, not always satisfied, mostly, yeah.
So always hunting for something new.
New more maybe, yeah. But yeah, negative comments, for me, I thrive on them. I mostly respond only to them.
So would you advise everyone who's getting criticized by anyone to follow the same path?
Yeah, to each his own, but yeah, that is how, and that natural instinct. Negative comments ko aap jaldi se reply karoge. And somewhere if the negative comment is saying, see, kabhi, I'll give an example. YouTube में हम डालते हैं videos, thumbnail होता है. Lot of people write clickbait. Now जब वो लोग डालते हैं, कई बार वो clickbait नहीं होता, but जब होता है मुझे पता होता है कि मैंने clickbait डाला है. I know I'm guilty conscious. I understand that हाँ मैंने वो clickbait डाला था because I wanted people to watch that video. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes they just say clickbait for no reason. Recently I put one story about I can't remember, but they said clickbait and I was like, how is it a clickbait? I've just written what is there in the story. So that's not clickbait. But yeah, I respond to all the negative comments.
Now I'll come down to Ronak, your experience of interviewing some of the Bollywood superstars. I've seen a lot of videos where you discuss with different stars about their upcoming movies. Can you share some light about that? How do you do that? And what's your reason to connect with stars on this interview?
See, Bollywood happened when Zoom happened, but I was always consuming Bollywood, and I'm always been very analytical about everything. Me, my brother, we're a very Bollywood-centric family. My father has been following. So, and we have followed the journeys of stars, So we kind of know, if you put a star's name, I can really talk about it and I give you objective views about it. I know what they've done, what they haven't done and all that. So that was always there. So when I joined Zoom, it felt like an extension of me. I was like, yeah, isme to kuch karna hi nahi hai. I just have to follow my passion. I just have to watch movies or maybe talk to stars. So when I'm talking to, like, say, if I get a chance to talk to Amir Khan, I don't have to do a lot of homework, you know. I know what he's done. I can really talk to him right from his first film, which is Qyamat Se Qyamat Tak, till his last film. I can really go on and on. Lal Singh Chadda. So I know, like that. So and that way it's come very naturally. But yeah, of course, it became part of my job and my career when I joined Bollywood with Zoom, because I was doing a show and a lot of stars would come there for interviews. And that's why I kind of connected with a lot of them, are still in touch. And now, because of I do reviews for Times of India, that again, that touch has been maintained. And of course, I work in a radio station. यहाँ पे भी कई बार हम celebrities को interview करते हैं, studio आते हैं, phone पे करते हैं, Zoom पे करते हैं. So yeah, so that is there. But the reason why I do it, yeah, because it's my job.
Ronak, can you share some special incidents of this interview with any of our Bollywood star?
बहुत है यार, तुमको अलग से एक पॉडकास्ट करना पड़ेगा इसके लिए. बट सो आई टेल यू व्हाट, अभी गोविंदा का एक किस्सा है जो मैंने एक्चुअली बताया नहीं है ज़्यादा. वी वर इंटरव्यूइंग हिम वंस. ही हैड कम टू द स्टूडियो एंड यू नो ही रिसेंटली शॉट हिज लेग, राइट? एंड इट वाज सच अ story for me because I kind of couldn't believe that somebody could do that. Now he's been like little eccentric for a while now. So he had come for this interview and suddenly, like, we were about to shoot and he just disappeared and he locked himself in the makeup room. And his manager came and I'm like, sir, kahan sab ready hai? We have to start shooting. He's like, नहीं अभी वो थोड़ा टाइम लगेगा और वो आएंगे अभी. तो he locked the room from inside and he just locked himself in the makeup room. And then he came to me and he said, sir ने नींबू मिर्ची मंगाई है, the lemon and
I got
chilies, which is a traditional way to ward off evil. So then we asked the spot boy to run and get it, and then he took it. After 1 hour he came out and then he did the interview. In those days there was news also like that he was accusing some political party of being sabotaging his career and his life and all that. So like that one happened. Then Amitabh Bachchan had come to our studios and I had asked him about the wedding of Aishwarya and Abhishek, and I said that, you know, a lot of journalists were ill-treated and all that. So how do you want to explain that? He said, see, we didn't ill-treat anyone. We had called, we didn't call the media over. The media was there. Still, we took care of not hurting anyone. There was a VIP guest in our guest list. उनके बॉडीगार्ड्स ने, वो जब बहुत क्लोज आते तो उनका वो पॉलिसी होता है, उनका वो रूल होता है कि वो हटाए लोगों को. तो उन्होंने हटाया, हमने कुछ नहीं किया था. हमें सिर्फ हमारी बहू को मुहूर्त जो था उस टाइम पे उनको घर पे लेके आना था. हमको हमारे पंडित जी ने बोला था कि इस टाइम पे ऐश्वर्या के पैर घर में आ जाने चाहिए. लाइक यू नो, गृह प्रवेश शुड हैपन. आपके घर में शादी होती है या कोई फंक्शन होता है तो आप भी तो यही करते हो, राइट? यू फॉलो योर पंडित जी या जो भी आप बिलीव करते हो उसको. तो हम क्यों ना करें? हम सिर्फ वही कर रहे थे, हमें कुछ और नहीं चाहिए था. हमने किसी को कुछ बोला या किसी को कुछ हर्ट किया. उनकी और वो मीडिया के बीच में था, हम तो वहाँ थे भी नहीं. मतलब ये साइड के उनकी गाड़ी से हुआ. तो ऐसा न्यूज़ आई थी तभी एंड एवरीबडी वाज टॉकिंग अबाउट इट. सो ही गिव अ वेरी गुड आंसर टू दैट. अमिताभ बच्चन इज अमिताभ बच्चन.
Well, nice stories which are not often in the news. So thank you for sharing that. But I am very much inspired and I always follow your channel, Review On, where you put a lot of reviews and there's a lot of people viewing that, and I am one of that. With full family, I'm watching one of the reviews I saw. Even I'm watching your interviews recently I saw with Manoj Bajpayee. Yeah. So can you tell me what's your vision for Review On? What exactly you want to reach with that? What's your passion on that?
See, I mean, really, like it says, the tagline is clarity in chaos. So I want to give clarity. There's a lot of chaos, I feel. And I want to give clarity in that. I want to be very specific when I go and, you know, review anything, be it movies or be it food or any travel experience or any place, whether it's Review On recommended or it's not. If I say it's Review On recommended, then I really mean it. And it can be recommended for different ways. So there are a lot of times I say it that it's, so like recently I had a Vrat ki thali at Taj, you know, and I said it in the end that if you are somebody who is willing to spend so much for a Vrat ki thali, if you're fasting in Navratri, this is Review On recommended for you. So you know that it's not for everyone. It's for somebody who's looking to do that. And that's how life is, right? What works for you doesn't work for me. Everything can't be a blanket yes and a no. Life is not that simple. Life is not that black and white. There is this gray always. So in movies are like that. So when I review movies also, I give that aspect that in the end, I'll always say that if you are someone who is a Salman Khan fan, this movie is for you. But if not, it's not for you. Like so many movies of Rajnikant are not for us. Because if you're not a fan, you will not enjoy it. But if you're a fan, the same thing, you will love it. So how can you say that it's not for anybody? You can't say that, right? So that's how I like to put my reviews.
I'm really changed the way I look for the movies, because a lot of times we have expectations. We go for a movie, we are so happy. Other person sitting with me, my friend, is not happy. But then we start to opinionate. Teko ye kyun nahi achhi lagi? Mere ko to itni achhi lagi. We have a fight. We discuss that. But yeah, it's about person liking that movie or no. It's completely dependent.
That is all there. But if you see, always a movie that will do universally well, like I gave you example of Titanic, or any other big movie you take, any Bollywood hit also if you take, like Zindagi Milegi Na Dobara. It touches a lot of people and it is universally accepted because when it's made, when the script is written, it takes into account a Hemant also, a Ronak also, and anyone else, it takes into account all the personalities. So if you see in that Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara, there are 3 different or 4 different characters who represent each one of us. Or if you see Friends, for example, best example, Friends as a show, everybody is either a Rachel or a Chandler or Joey. We are all different characters. And each one of them represents somebody, which is why it's such a universally accepted show.
So true. I think I'm not that often watching movies, but I watch a lot of interviews. So I watched Javed Akhtar's interview recently where he was describing why Sholay was a hit, because the script was able to connect, somebody was able to connect with Amitabh, Dharmender as a comedy person.
Same thing.
Silent person like Jai Bachchan. So I think that's where it makes sense.
Yeah. And then there are moments in the movie.
Well, that brings me to the last question for the podcast, Ronak, and this is very important. It is very close to you, and it is again going to be a personal question. But I think you are the right person to answer that, and you are the person who will put it in the right way as well. So Ronak, if you have a chance to interview any person who's living or dead, who will it be and what will be your topic to discuss with them?
Oh, well, there are lots like that. But the one person, I have interviewed her, but very small interview I've done. I want to really do a big, good, nice interview with Sushmita Sen. I feel that amongst so many people, so many talking heads that we have all around the world, everywhere, I think closer home, she is somebody who is able to give a genuinely, a heartfelt answer without being fake, and yet she can actually give you she can actually give you a gali or a cuss word without making you feel offended. She has that ability. And I really want to interview her about who the real Sushmita Sen is, because nobody really asks her. And it really goes, every time you see her, people talk about her achievements, people talk about her, she being path-breaking in so many other things and her Bollywood journey and all of those things. But there is the pain side of her, which I'm not talking about the health crisis, but how she's been unlucky in love all this while. A lot of things, I feel that if I were to do an interview, and I would tell her in advance that I want to really ask all the questions that nobody's ever asked you and you've always wanted to tell. And I know she will say.
Well, hope you get this interview soon, just like we got the podcast with you. Thank you so much for joining us, Ronak, today here.
It was a great pleasure, really. I really felt like I relived the last 20 years of my life in this 1 hour.
Well, that makes a lot of pleasure for us.
Thank you.
Thank you.